Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today we're going to talk about gaming at a resolution higher than 1080p and whether or not that's beneficial. This is my new monitor, an Acer XB270HU, and word to Acer marketing team, if you want people to remember or promote your products, come up with a name that is easier to remember. Now this is a brand new monitor, it just came out, and I've been biding my time waiting for the perfect monitor to upgrade to a 27-inch 1440p resolution. For a long time now I've been gaming at 1080p, it seems to have been serving me just fine, but I'd never really gamed at 1440p before, especially not on a 144Hz monitor with a nice IPS display. Now you can see my frame rate in the upper left there. The graphics on Battlefield 4 are not maxed out. I turned down a few settings here and there just to make sure that I would get enough frames. I'm gaming on a 980 GTX right now. It's not a GTX Ti or a Titan or anything like that, so it's a good card, but it's not like the fastest card in the world, but it can still handle 1440p just fine as long as you're willing to drop a few of the graphics qualities down. And of course, if you're not a stickler for high frame rates, this monitor also comes with G-Sync, which means that the refresh rate of the monitor matches your frame rate in game, so you're not going to get any screen tearing, and this is actually really good for lower FPS gaming. Once you start dipping down into the 40 frames per second range, the monitor is actually going to still look pretty good with most games. Now if you're like me and you've been gaming at 1080p for years and you upgrade to a 1440p monitor, it's going to be pretty astounding just in the resolution difference alone. And unless you're actually looking at a 1440p monitor, it can be hard to convey the difference, but I'm going to do my best here with a few visual aids. This is a 1440p image right here. If you're actually watching this video at 1440p resolution, you should hopefully be getting something similar to what I'm seeing while gaming. Now this is the actual resolution that you would be seeing if you're gaming at 1080p. Quite a difference in terms of just how many pixels are on screen. In fact, the upgrade from 1080 to 1440 is increasing your pixel count by 77%. It's pretty close to doubling it, in fact. And aside from just giving me a cleaner, better looking image, it also makes it easier for me to pick out enemies in a cluttered map, especially like this one here on Gulf of Oman. Spotting people among foliage becomes easier. You have more pixels to work with. There's literally more visual information for your brain to interpret. This also helps out with aiming. You can't really be more precise than aiming at any one particular pixel, and when you have more pixels making up the exact same field of view and resolution, you actually have the ability to be more precise. Think of it this way: if an enemy's head was 2 pixels wide on a 1080p monitor and 3 pixels wide on a 1440p monitor, you would have the option to aim at the center pixel on 1440p, effectively making you more accurate, giving you a more precise shot. Now to be honest, I doubt the extra pixel precision is really going to make a big impact on your overall gameplay, but without question the visual fidelity and information that you're receiving is better than a 1080p monitor, and I'm already starting to see the benefits of it myself. Now of course there's a few con arguments to upgrading to 1440p. The first is that getting a 1440p monitor that also has a refresh rate of 144Hz, which is ideal for gaming, is going to be very expensive, a hell of a lot more expensive than a 1080p monitor with the same features. Now obviously the price will drop over the coming years and it'll be a much more affordable gaming option, but at the moment it is a pretty big deterrent for most people. Now another big thing is the fact that it takes a lot more computer power to render a 1440p image than it does a 1080p image. As I mentioned, there's 77% more pixels on screen versus 1080p, and that means that your graphics card is essentially going to have to work that much faster to get you all that information. Might not be as cut and dry as 77% more processing power. There's a lot more to it than that, but it's a good ratio to sort of start out with to give you an idea of, hey, if you're not getting 100 frames per second already, then it doesn't make a lot of sense to upgrade to 1440p because you're going to get even less frames. That being said, some games rely way more on CPU power than they do GPU power. I enabled 1440p on Arma, a game which I normally get between 40 and 50 frames per second, and I only saw a 10 to 15% drop in frame rate when I upgraded in resolution. So again, the amount of performance that you're going to lose is not necessarily a set number, but it's just a good thing to keep in mind that you will be losing some frames per second. Now, generally speaking, people running a 1080p monitor on PC are usually running a 24-inch monitor. This one here is 27 inches, and I think for 1440p, 27 inches is going to be a pretty big standard. So that's just something to keep in mind if you have a small desk or a small area where you're gaming. It is a bigger monitor. You might even have to push it a little bit further back than your current monitor to make sure your peripheral vision is okay. Now, one technical downside of this monitor that almost kept me from purchasing it was the fact that it doesn't have an HDMI input or a DVI input. It doesn't give you a lot of options with inputs. It only gives you a DisplayPort input, which is fine if you're only using it for PC gaming. You know, PCs nowadays have DisplayPorts on all the graphics cards. You should have no problem hooking it up to a PC. But I like to use my main computer monitor also to do console gaming. So I like to have an HDMI input there and just switch it over to the console whenever I want to play on my Xbox or PlayStation or whatever. Now, obviously, consoles don't support the 1440p resolution, so you're not really getting any benefits from using this monitor with a console for the most part, but it's just nice to have that sort of versatility with a monitor, because my old monitor did have a whole bunch of different types of inputs, and it was nice to just be able to switch over whenever I chose. But future 1440p monitors are going to be supporting HDMI and a whole bunch of other inputs. This is just sort of one of the first batches of monitors that supports like 144 Hz, 1440p resolution with an IPS panel and G-Sync. Technically, there's no other monitors on the market that can do all of those things, so I'm willing to sacrifice a few of the input options to get all of those awesome features. And although using an IPS panel isn't necessarily like the most beneficial thing in the world for gaming, it certainly is nice to have a very color accurate monitor. It's great for video editing, image editing, and frankly just watching movies and doing whatever. And I know I'm saying a lot of really good things about this monitor right now, and I just want it to be clear that I'm not getting sponsored by Acer to make this video. They didn't send me a monitor or anything like that. I bought it with my own money, and I'm just really happy with the performance of it so far, and felt like I should share it with you guys because I think 1440p gaming really is right now the height of FPS gaming. If you can do it at 100 plus frames, then it is just an incredible experience. Anyway, that pretty much wraps it up for this 1440p gaming video. I hope it informed you guys at the very least. If you're interested in the monitor, I'll put a link in the video description for you guys. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.